Hello, I'm Harry Riley. Welcome to Harry's 10-Minute Tales. This is a light-hearted ghost story called The Paradise Club by Harry Riley. This tale is fiction, and resemblance to anyone, living or dead, is purely coincidental. For Lorna Tompkins, this was just another working day. She packed the kids off to school, said goodbye to George, her husband and manager of Mason's, their local Midlands bank, and trotted off to Greenways, the supermarket where she worked as a checkout cashier. She had to hustle along as time was pressing on, and she was already late for the 9 a.m. shift. Violet Linden, her supervisor, was red hot on timekeeping, and Lorna already had one written warning for late arrival. One more formal letter and she was out, and with more than 100 applicants chasing every job, she couldn't afford the risk. There must never be more than 3 customers queuing at the checkout or heads will roll, they were informed at the weekly staff meetings. Violet was always sucking up to Horace Winstanley, the store manager, and always put on her posh voice, especially for his attention. She often stayed late, on some excuse or other, to help him prepare for the following day's business. And God knows what else, thought Lorna. She liked Mr. Winstanley, and he had openly resisted Violet's attempts to caution her for lateness, saying Lorna was no worse than several others who had been given a mild ticking off. For some reason, Violet Linden hated her and was just itching for an excuse to get her sacked. Perhaps she thought of Lorna Tompkins as a threat to her position at the store. Lorna was very bright and young and cheerful, and quite a looker in an understated way, with her long brown hair and stunning blue eyes. It was a Friday morning, and as Lorna scurried along the busy pavements, she spotted a shiny coin, about the size of an English 10-pence piece. She bent to pick it up, and as her fingers closed around it, she stumbled and cursed her own stupidity in bothering to retrieve such a low-value item. However, look after the pennies and the pounds will look after themselves, had been her own mother's mantra. So she picked it up and noticed a strange writing around the milled edge. It was foreign hieroglyphics, but she put it in her purse for its curiosity value and felt a sudden violent stabbing across her chest. At 10 minutes past 11 a.m. precisely, George Tompkins gazed idly through the heavily reinforced steel bars of his office window and spotted a police patrol car had drawn up to the front steps of the bank. 2 uniformed officers got out and entered the premises. Within seconds, George was called to the counter and escorted them to the privacy of his office. "Are you George Tompkins, sir?" "Why, yes, that's me. How can I help you, gentlemen?" "Afraid your wife's had an accident. It happened on her way to work. Sorry to say she was certified dead on arrival at the hospital." George slumped down at his desk, all the wind knocked out of his sails. One of the policemen fetched him a glass of water, and in a faltering voice the bank manager asked how it had happened. "There will have to be a post-mortem, but it appears she had a sudden heart attack. A witness said she stumbled in the street, and several people rushed to her aid. She was given mouth-to-mouth, but unfortunately nothing could be done to save her." The funeral was a quiet affair at St. Mark's burial ground, with close friends, family and a few friends present, and of course with Lorna looking on. She was sad for the 2 kids now without a mother, and for George, so soon a widower. But in another way she was quite elated, as she now knew what it was like to be dead. It was not so terrifying as she had thought. Within hours the deceased woman was back in the church attending a meeting presided over by a previous vicar who had been interned in the same graveyard. He called for silence among his flock of dead souls and welcomed new arrivals to this September gathering of the St. Mark's Paradise Club. He recognised Lorna in the congregation and singled her out for praise, saying it seemed like only yesterday that he had officiated at her wedding. And then he went on to emphasise how disastrous the last month had been for new recruits. They were getting far too many old folk who would have died of natural causes anyway. They come along with their hackneyed "let's start another war" ideas, and we desperately need more youngsters like Lorna with their fresh young brains, or we could be closed down. He asked Brother Edward to stand up. A young man with a beaming smile arose to loud applause and took a bow. It was he, who had come up with the brilliant idea of placing a recruitment coin down on the ground just minutes before Lorna Tompkins came along on that fateful morning, and now she was to be the standard bearer for the next lucky member. I must reiterate, we are only a small local branch, and our ideas for new recruitment should reflect our lowly station. We cannot go around starting wars and civil unrest. That is for our betters to decide. I have to report to the bishop, just like my mortal colleagues up above. A church without a paradise club is like a train without an engine driver. It's going nowhere at all. It is incumbent upon us all to do our bit to improve membership of the club. We cannot laze around doing nothing all day. Death carries certain responsibilities, you know. Lorna listened awestruck. She had never imagined anything like this. But the vicar went on and on, boring everyone to death, as preachers are wont to do, and then the meeting broke up. The very next day, as Violet Linden opened Greenway's store, she noticed a shiny silver coin with strange writing around its rim on the tiled floor right in front of the doorway. She stooped to pick it up, and whoosh, she had gone. End.